An internal audit by the Youth Employment Agency is said to have saved the national purse over 20 million cedis after it was found out there were thousands of beneficiaries whose engagements had either not been regularized or were being paid for no work done. At a media briefing Wednesday, Acting Chief Executive Justin Frimpong said the amount reflects monies which would have been paid the beneficiaries since February when it ordered a freeze on the allowances. He said further investigations yet to be concluded could save another 30 million cedis. Anodame has more.
In February this year, the YEA suspended payments to its beneficiaries after it uncovered what it claimed to be anomalies on the payroll. The CEO, Justin Frimpong, at the Wednesday news conference, explained though the exercise took a while, it was worth it.
The deletion of the 2,999 beneficiaries from the payroll saved the nation as much as 4,270,800 Ghana cedis for the 4-month duration, that is from February to May this year. In effect, for each month, the taxpayer will save an amount of 1,067,700 Ghana cedis, which would have gone into wrong hands.
The investigations also saw the deletion of more than 16,000 names from the program. An internal audit and head count was also conducted in all offices of the authority. Mr. Frimpong says the results were startling.
Per the physical verification exercise undertaken by management, in respect of the 3 anomalies that we captured in our findings, a total of 16,839 beneficiaries' names have been deleted from the payroll, and this has saved the taxpayer an amount of 20,206,800 Ghana cedis.
Meanwhile, beneficiaries who were not available when the head count was conducted have up to a month to resolve the issue with the authority or risk losing the appointments. The authority says another 30 million cedis could be saved if the persons involved cannot be validated.
11,512 beneficiaries were without assumption of duty letters. For the 4 months that we suspended the payroll, the amount is 30,814,400 Ghana cedis. We also noted that 14,443 non-existent beneficiaries, meaning they are either ghost names or they have vacated their post. And has given itself a month to address issues regarding their status, because possibly there could be a genuine reason that when we went around to do the head count, a person may be sick or maybe didn't get the information, or for instance maybe a person has assumption of duty letter but could not bring it. So management has decided to give ourselves 1 month for people with such problems to come forward for us to verify.
Recommendations by the authority include measures to make these corrupt acts punishable. In line with this, the Chief Executive Officer sent a strong caution to district officers who connive with non-existent beneficiaries to defraud the authority that they will be prosecuted. For Joy News, my name is Hannah Odame.
Well, the Chief Executive of the Youth Employment Authority, Justin Frimpong, says he cannot point accusing fingers at the previous CEO, but because he was there at the time, a lot of the blame has to fall at his doorstep.
I think, first of all, we must admit that there was a system failure.
Okay.
That is one. And 2, certain people deliberately decided to take advantage of the system failure to do certain malpractices. And the exercise gave us several revelations, because there was this man at Suhum who, when we asked to bring letters of appointment, yes, he brought, and we asked him where was he working. He was looking at us, and he told in local language, "Bo, me dem ti fe na no se membra na bo se me miska."
So if you say certain people took advantage, which people are you talking about?
Some of our district directors, and to some extent our regional directors, and even those at the head office, because certainly it works in the process.
Under whose watch did this happen?
To be honest with you, is per experiences from National Youth Employment Program towards JIDA, then the Youth Employment Agency Act, which came in 2015. I must say that we started the models last year from May. So whoever was in charge from that time, from May to when I took over, maybe has certain things to answer.
Is the former director, Mr. Beecham, complicit in this?
Certainly, I cannot sit here and say yes. And I cannot sit here and say also no either. Because at the end of the day, the thing that we uncovered could have been done at his blind side.
The Agric Ministry has revealed plans by government to increase yields through the production of improved seedlings for crop farming. The Sector Minister, Dr. Akuto Owusu-Efree, cited maize farming in the country, where he said only 11% of farmers use improved seeds, a situation he describes as a threat to food security. He says government will be collaborating with the West Africa Center for Crop Improvement at the University of Ghana.
According to the Agric Minister, 85% of maize farmers still plant with traditional seeds. This practice has been described by many experts as not helping to increase yields. Dr. Owusu-Efree Akuto believes by partnering and financially supporting research work at the West Africa Center for Crop Improvement at the University of Ghana, the sector will see some improvement.
Only 11% of maize farmers use improved seed. The 89% or so use traditional seed, which they've used over and over and over again. In spite of that, this country is self-sufficient in maize. And the wonderful thing about these statistics is one thing. The traditional seed gives you something like less than half a ton per hectare. The open pollinated can give you up to 3 tons per hectare.
The Agric Minister also spoke on government's plans to improve storage and marketing infrastructure.
I reckon we have only about 100,000 metric tons of capacity for maize marketing, and we need 250,000. And this is why this government has decided that after doing the initial survey, we're going to put in place marketing storage infrastructure in all the districts of this country in order that at least we can hold the surpluses and process them into a standard that we can issue a quality certificate for you to be able to go to the bank to get money to carry on trading or to finance your crop. So,
in response to the concerns raised, Director for the West Africa Center for Crop Improvement, Dr. Eric Dankwa, says the center is set to release some improved varieties of maize, expected to increase yields when approved.
We are about to release 3 maize hybrids, which yield between 9 and 11 tons. The National Varietal Release Committee has come for the first inspection. They are coming for the second inspection at the end of June. When approved, these maize hybrid varieties will yield more than 2 times the maize varieties that we have in the country. So they will double yields in farmers' fields.
Dr. Dankwa also urged Parliament to speed up processes in passing the Plant Breeders Bill because it has great prospects for the agri sector. The speakers were amongst several others addressing a gathering at the 10th anniversary of the West African Center for Crop Improvement at the University of Ghana, Legon.
While Education Minister Dr. Matthew Opoku-Prempeh has refuted suggestions President Akufo-Addo has disparaged the country's tertiary education curriculum. The minister, who was speaking at the 10th anniversary of the West Africa Center for Crop Improvement at the University of Ghana, says government is in talks with the National Council for Tertiary Education on how to improve tertiary education.
This is not a government that is anti-tertiary education. Besides, we intend funding faculty development through Get Fund, and from here I'm in Parliament to table the Get Fund formula for this year. We are in talks with the National Council for Tertiary Education to fund faculty development in tertiary institutions. This is not a government against tertiary education. But when the president says that our universities are not bringing out graduates that are equally suited for the employment sector, he has a point there. The Association of Ghana Association of Industry is complaining. Yesterday we had a meeting with them that our graduates are not fit for employment. So the president is not saying anything different. They claim that there are a lot of work, but our graduates are not suited. What the president was saying that university education must train you and prepare you for the world of work. This is totally different from being anti-tertiary education. So I want to reassure WACI that we don't only want to see WACI or 3 of the 21 centers of excellence. Ghana wants to see many more WACIs in other sectors.
Watching Journeys from, we're taking a break, but still to come. Finance Minister Ken Ofori-Atta appears before Parliament to justify government's recent issuance of the controversial $2.25 billion bond, insisting there was nothing untoward about the transaction. We also have the minorities' reaction somewhere in there. Please stay tuned. We're back with more of that and more. Welcome back to Joy News Prime. Now on to the rest of our stories. Embattled human lawyer Francis Havieso has filed 2 separate appeals against his suspension by the General Legal Council. The council on June 1, 2017 barred the famed human rights lawyer from practicing for 3 years after convicting him on 4 counts, to which he pleaded guilty. The suspension has left his many often less privileged clients helpless, unsure what will become of the cases he is pursuing on their behalf. His associates at FX Law have since assured the client there are equally competent lawyers who would take up those cases. In the meantime, lawyer Susu, who filed his appeal on Wednesday, is optimistic the suspension will be overturned. Now, my colleague Favor Nuno has copies of the appeals he's filed and joins me now in the studio. Now, Favor, what are these 2 separate appeals that he's filed? Okay, so these are 2 separate appeals that he filed at the Court of Appeals, and it captures 2 issues: the overestimation of legal fees, and secondly, the touting and personal advertisement charge that the GLC actually hit him with. So essentially, he's not appealing to the General Legal Council, he's appealing. He's appealing to the appeals court in order for the General Legal Council to respond, so that both of them will be in court and would then follow up on this issue. Right. He thinks that this suspension is wrong. So let's go through the very first appeal, which has to do with touting and personal advertisements. So the grounds for appeal, based on which he has actually gone to the appeals court, is that... Before we come to that, yes, do we know exactly what he did that amounted to touting personal advertisements? So on the touting and personal advertisement, the General Legal Council maintains that on his Facebook page, he is discovered to have advertised himself as a lawyer who is capable of handling cases. And they're saying that per the legal rules, you're not allowed to actually advertise yourself in that sense. Lawyers will tell you that you're allowed to have a website, but you do not actively engage the public in telling them that you're capable of offering them services X, Y, and Z. To put it in plain language, it means you're begging. And to a very large extent, they want to say that the legal profession is one that has to be held in the very highest esteem, and therefore you don't go about telling people what you're capable of doing. We inherited this sort of practice from UK. In the US, it's quite different. You're allowed to go about advertisement. So he advertised himself on Facebook, and they're saying it's wrong per their regulations, and that's why they've come for his head. All right, so what's his appeal? So in this appeal, let's go through the first one that says that miscarriage of justice. It says the particulars of misconduct accompanying the charge of touting and personal advertisement do not establish the legal ingredients of the charge, thereby occasioning a substantial miscarriage of justice. So completely they did wrong. That's what he's saying the legal counsel have done. So the second one, which we've titled inconsistent with the legal profession's rule, is that he says advertising or prohibition on advertising and publicity as provided for
under the legal profession rules is inconsistent with some of its articles. He's saying that, well, whatever you're saying about advertising is inconsistent with your rules. So how do you come for my head then? And then there's a third one that we've been following up on, which he says that it is vague and overboard. So here he says the prohibition on advertising, touting, and publicity as provided under Rule 2+1 of the legal profession rules is vague and overboard and inconsistent with the articles within the 1992 Constitution. There's a fourth one that he says is discriminatory, and in that he explains that personal advertising leveled against Francis Xavier Sosu is discriminatory, contrary to Article 70. Now, some lawyers have also explained that what about the many lawyers who have been putting their own legal, professional achievements on Facebook, etc. Will the General Legal Counsel go after all of them?
Those people.
Why is it that he has been found out and he has been targeted? But he raises an interesting point again in this particular appeal, where he says that there is no identifiable complainant against him. So where did the General Legal Counsel generate the interest to go after him when they have not identified or put forward someone who blamed or complained about his touting or advertisement on Facebook? So let me just go through that briefly. He says the appellant accused of touting and personal advertisement by the General Legal Counsel erred in law since there was no identifiable complainant as required by provisions of the Legal Profession Act. So they themselves did not provide someone who complained. And if you have time, we can go through the rest.
Let's move on to the overestimation of legal fees.
Okay, so in the overestimation of legal fees, which you're aware it involved one ex-convict who he had been on a case for. He was in jail for 14 years, and he followed up on the case.
Francis Ejari.
Exactly, Francis Ejari. So on this case, he says that the particulars of misconduct accompanying the charge of touting and personal advertisement do not establish the legal ingredients of the charge, thereby occasioning substantial miscarriage of justice. So this also starts with a miscarriage of justice. He thinks completely that call for charging or overcharging does not even exist, and therefore it shouldnly have been the case.
Hold on, favor. We have on the line lawyer Martin Pebu, and he is going to be explaining to us how successful he thinks, how successful or unsuccessful he thinks, or what the chances are of this appeal. We'll be coming to you, lawyer Martin Pebu, in a bit. But let's conclude on the
with
bit
the second one, it says inconsistent with the legal profession's rules, which says that prohibition on advertising or publicity as provided for under Rule 2 of the legal profession rules is inconsistent with Article 1. So he's actually establishing his appeals on the grounds of laws that are already existing, and therefore if you have any challenge, come up with the laws that you have. There are other parts of this very appeal that he speaks to the fact that, let's go through the third one. I think I may have missed it. Okay, so we have it here. Okay, I missed it. But there it is. He says the courts, the General Legal Counsel, they have actually established themselves as the complainants, the jury, and the judge, so that instead of handing him over after identifying these faults, these errors, so to speak, and handing him over to a court of competent jurisdiction, they have turned themselves into a court and have judged him and sentenced him on issues that they deem criminal. And therefore, it is wrong for them to have done that. So he's presented the case to the court for the proper thing to be done.
So let's get to the line and speak with lawyer Martin Pebu. Good evening, and thank you very much for making time. Now, it appears we're looking at a landmark case here. We may end up seeing the law profession change the way the law is practiced in Ghana.
Oh, well, yes, it's possible, because since you've seen a lot of outpouring of sympathy for lawyer Francis Sosu. Yes. So now that the appeal is before the Court of Appeal, we are praying that the court would be lenient. Okay, the court would look at the case again and then try to at least reduce the sentences minimum. Okay.
What do you think of the chances of this appeal?
Oh, my brother, that's the one we are not allowed to do, because the case is pending. That one I'm not allowed to assess. But we are praying that, to the extent that this law has been overrun by time, and you can see the way generally, the public sentiment and the sympathies expressed to sue. We are praying that the court will look at it and then perhaps, be influenced by it in dealing lenient with it.
All right, thank you very much, Lawyer Martin Pebu, for making time. And you're watching Joy News Prime. We're taking a break at this point. When we come back, we'll bring you business news. Please stay tuned.
Hello, good evening, and welcome to Business. Finance Minister Ken Ofori-Atta has justified government's move to issue a $2.25 billion bond, stating that the bond was to cushion Ghana's debt-ridden economy and prevent it from collapse. The minister said this when he appeared before Parliament to respond to issues of conflict of interest and insider trading.
The whole House, Mr. Speaker, must feel free to celebrate what has been achieved because it inures to the benefit of our nation. Mr. Speaker, because the future is usually uncertain, long-term bonds have higher interest rates than short-term bonds. This is the usual character in every stable economy. There is no support, Mr. Speaker, for the argument that there's financial loss simply because longer-dated instruments have higher interest rates. If this analysis holds, then how come in 2016, Mr. Speaker, when the 5-year bond was above 20% and the 91-day bond of 16%, there was no hue and cry from our side about financial loss because we understood what was happening. What was good for John surely must be good for Nana. Mr. Speaker, I'm happy again to announce that the benefit from this bond issue continues to impact positively on our economy. In 2016, according to the medium-term debt strategy of the time, Ghana's average domestic interest rate was about 22.8%. Currently, the weighted average interest rate is about 20%. Mr. Speaker, a 3% savings in interest rates on about $30 billion worth of debt, or $120 million of debt, is an incredible savings of about 3 billion cedis. In other words, the costs of borrowing for Ghanaian consumers and businesses have gone down, and it is our expectation that this downward trend will continue, and that, by the grace of God, the negative noise that has followed the bond issues will not stem the easing of the cost of borrowing.
Government will within the next 2 weeks begin the disbursement of funds for stimulus package promised industries in the 2017 budget. The Minister of Trade and Industry, Alan Kojo-Tremantin, who announced this, said more than 200 potential companies have already applied to receive funds from the package. In an interview with Joy Business after inaugurating a ministerial advisory board to advise the government on issues of trade and industry, he said the stimulus package is part of government's policy initiatives to revive defunct industries with the capacity to creating employment for the youth.
The medium and long-term objective is not to continue feeding state enterprises with stimulus support, but to turn them over to the private sector.
It's been 6 months since the new government. When are we going to have this stimulus package? Private people have been asking us, when is the stimulus package coming? We are in June. Some gave ultimatum that at least by the end of June we need to have it. But up to now we've not heard anything from the minister. Please give us an outline.
Yeah, we've started rolling it out. All those who expressed an interest in participating in the program, they can give you the status report because they've been invited for discussions in respect of their various companies. So unless you had applied for participation in the package, you may not quite understand what has been going on. But I can tell you, for example, that under the stimulus package, we have almost 290 companies that have already expressed an interest. They have been profiled. They've gone through a diagnostic exercise. They've been profiled. And so within the next couple of weeks, we would then start the disbursements based on what we found out in the diagnostic exercise. Finally, and then also for the one district, one factory, we have over 180 companies that have also provided materials to participate in the program.
Economist Dr. Ishmael Yamson has indicated delays in communicating the country's decision on IMF program extension is hurting the economy. Government is yet to formally communicate its decision despite reports it has agreed in principle to extend the program. Sources say government must make its intention clear by the end of this month ahead of IMF board meeting in July. Dr. Yamson tells Joy Business the delay is hurting a lot of businesses. However, he says the IMF itself has not been helpful.
Lasting relief. First of all, we don't have control over the price of oil. We don't. There's always a conflict between OPEC and the non-OPEC countries. Every time they need money, they pump more oil and the price collapses. Already, cocoa price has collapsed. Gold is holding. So, once you are going to get 30 million from oil, you have been told how much you are going to lose from cocoa. So, in net terms, are we earning more foreign exchange in net terms? So I think we need to do a lot more critical analysis of this. And I think for me, and I must say to you that I have every confidence in this team, in the finance ministry, every confidence. We have some very fantastic people there. I think they have to be very strategic, very strategic.
Finally, do you think government should come clearly on this decision of this extension of this IMF program or not? You think they should come, IMF program, whether they are going to extend on, they should come out quickly. This is what we are going to do to leave all of you businessmen who are planning to get on with your business.
I think it's absolutely important because you see, a lot of investors put premium on IMF programs. Why? Because our own history suggests that whenever and wherever we don't have somebody with a big stick standing there, we misbehave. Go back and you know, every time we go off the IMF program, we are in trouble. So we have created a situation where people don't trust that we can do it without the IMF program. And it's a reality. I think let us be patient. Let us renew it. Let us register sustainable performance. 2 years, 3 years. And then we can make the IMF irrelevant.
Many small and medium-scale enterprises are paying taxes they are not supposed to pay. That's the observation of Advisory Services Manager with Ernst & Young, Dilapidated. He attributes this to the lack of right business plans by SMEs in the country. Dilapidated spoke with Joy Business at an SME training workshop in Accra.
The SME training workshop, organized by not-for-profit organization Invest in Africa in collaboration with accounting firm Ernst & Young and Joy Business, was aimed at helping participants establish the right business models for successful operation of their businesses. These entail a plan which identifies sources of revenue, the intended customer base, products and details of financing. Advisory Services Manager with Ernst & Young, Daniel Abebio, who facilitated the training session, explained how the operations of small businesses are run down because of the lack of a business model.
Businesses are required to pay tax based on profit being made. So in a typical case of the example I gave where on the face of it is making profit because some cost hasn't been factored into it, the books will show that this company is making profit, and so tax authorities will come after you. You will pay tax. Realistically, the company is not making profit, except because not all the costs being incurred by the company have been factored into the model. So it's important to conscientize businessmen and SMEs particularly to know all the different costs that make up their business, so that in coming up with the model, you would have factored all this in there and come up with the right and the realistic profit, which would then determine what tax you are going to pay and all that.
But how impactful was the training session for the participants?
A lot of times, SMEs or businesses like this come as a result of passion, and so usually we run into it, we get into it not having any model at hand or anything in mind. We just want to follow the passion. So to ensure that you make profit out of your passion, it's also important to develop or have a model to work with.
You know, all I knew was bring the money and let's start work. But today I've realized how important it is to do forecasting. What even helped me more was the part where he spoke about the simple, that book he used with the spreadsheets, Microsoft Excel. You understand? He was doing it to help us do our daily records, financial transactions. And I'm adding it to my knowledge, because it will help me keep financial records.
Beauty Labi is marketing manager of Invest in Africa.
Today has been very positive. I like the caliber of businesses that came through. We were looking for SMEs who had been in operation for more than 2 years, had some specific number of staff, and from the questions they asked and from their profile, you could tell that we got the right kind of SMEs that we were looking for. The facilitator from EY has been amazing. I noticed that the SMEs did not want us to end this, but we've given evaluation forms, and per the feedback, if we have to repeat this session, we'll repeat it again.
That's all in business for tonight. Thanks for your attention. My name is Emmanuel Abuachi. Have a good evening.
Now, Finance Minister Ken Ofori-Atta has dismissed concerns that the processes that led to government's recent issuance of a $2.25 billion bond was not transparent. He says the processes used were no different from how it has been done for many years now. The minority has accused the minister of selling majority of the bond to a firm run by his former business partner, arguing it raises conflict of interest situations. Now, Joseph Opoku-Gaku has more in the following report.
The whole House, Mr. Speaker, must feel free to celebrate what has been achieved because it inures to the benefit of.
Finance Minister Ken Ofori-Atta was in the House Wednesday to respond to a motion that demanded he provide full details on the finance.
I would like to conclude by emphasizing that the bonds were city bonds of 9.7 billion.
Right, so we do apologize for that. We'd have to bring you back that story. But in other news, residents in Tema Community 18 are urging the Roads and Highways Ministry to fix a broken bridge which served as an alternate route for motorists. The bridge, according to residents, was washed away over a year ago and no effort has gone into rebuilding it. Emanuela Afokpa visited the area and has come through with the following report.
Residents and motorists who plied the busy Klagon-Ashaiman underpass near Sakumono were cut off for several hours following a 4-hour downpour Tuesday dawn. Work is ongoing on another bridge at the Abattoir section of the Accra-Tema motorway to Klagon, which was also flooded, making it impossible for motorists to use the road. But residents say the situation could have been avoided if the bridge, which had been washed away a year ago, had been fixed to serve as an alternative route for motorists using the main Klagon-Lashibi stretch. A surgeon at Kolebu Teaching Hospital, Dr. Ofe Labi, who has lived in the area close to a decade, says an alternative road is crucial.
For the past 8 years, this is how the place has been. When it rains, this whole area gets submerged. The contractor doing the work has narrowed the course of the 3 streams to 1. So you have 3 in 1, and then there's so much pressure at the other end, and so it spills over anytime it rains. Immediate action: 1, they should widen the course of the stream and hasten the construction of the bridge, or create an alternate route for us so that they can take time and reconstruct this road properly. There is another access route on the other side. It's been washed away during the June 3rd rains, and so the only access route now is this point. Can you imagine children going to ride a BEC? A lot of people had to wait till the levels go down, and the exams is timed. If there was even an emergency, there was no way you could cross from that end to this place.
Motorists are appealing to local authorities to ensure the bridge is rebuilt.
Whenever people close from work from Accra, the alternative route to Spintex, to Lashibi and Sakumono, they only use this access road, so they should fix it for us.
All the big mills here, they always pass here. We are facing the problem here, so we appeal to them so that they will come to our aid, come and help us to fix the bridge. So we appeal to the government to come to our aid.
Right, so we go back to our earlier story where the Finance Minister, Ken Ofori-Atta, has dismissed concerns that the processes that led to government's recent issuance of a $2.25 billion bond was not transparent. He says the processes used are no different from how it has been done for many years now. The minority has accused the minister of selling majority of the bond to a firm run by his former business partner, arguing it raises conflicts of interest issues. Joseph Opoku-Gakpo has more in the following report.
Finance Minister Ken Ofori-Atta was in the House Wednesday to respond to a motion that demanded he provide full details on the finance.
I would like to conclude by emphasizing that the bonds were city bonds of 9.7 billion. It was part of the issuance calendar for the second quarter, consistent with the 2017 budget financing plan. The bond participants are no strangers to our bond market, and as a matter of record, have been investing in our local bonds over the last decade. The book building approach adopted is a transparent and competitive process used and established by the previous administration in 2015. The issuance extended the tenor to 15 years. The first, Mr. Speaker, in our history, and certainly, Mr. Speaker, not the last.
This is the Parliament of Ghana, the people's representative. He accounts for 2.5 billion plus 1.1, that's 3.6. Where is the rest? Minus 6, minus 9.6. Where is the rest of the 6 billion? How he intends to use it, this Parliament deserves to know. It should come properly. The motion was utilization of proceeds. On utilization of proceeds in paragraph 42 of his statement, all he says, to date, out of the total amount raised, 2.5 billion has been used to reprofile the debt, that's fine. 1.1 billion used to finance the budget, that's fine. So 2.5 plus 1.1. He is not the one to determine expenditure subject to the control of the legislature. We are saying that the 6 billion, order. 6 billion, we deserve to know how he intends. Formula.
I do apologize for the hitches in that story. Moving on. limited resources at the Chenchimkura Chips compound in the Jura-Setchedumasi municipality are hampering effective healthcare delivery. The facility lacks beds to accommodate patients, and the only motorbike meant to facilitate the daily routine of health workers is also broken down, compounding the challenges. Mahmoud Mohamed Nuruddin reports. In the following report, Mahmoud Mohamed Nuruddin tells the story of healthcare delivery at Chenchimkura in the Jura-Setchedumasi municipality.
That was how the story of poor healthcare delivery in 2015 in the predominantly farming community located in the Jura-Setchedumasi municipality. At the height of difficulty, one woman crusader got the attention of authorities to complete this chips compound. Completion of the facility, though, has brought some relief to residents, there is still much to be done. The chips compound, which is the first point of healthcare intervention, has few beds for patients. There is no electricity and water.
We're using an old classroom blocks for the hospital. So recently that we got a clinic, but there wasn't electricity over there and water accommodation. Even where the nurses to stay and work for the patients is not enough. So they have to leave Ajura and come to the work every morning.
A motorbike meant to facilitate routine movement of health workers is also broken down. Community health nurses Charles Assassin and Faustine Aidan man the compound together with the principal, Efia Buano. They describe the challenges they go through as overwhelming.
But as I said, you have a lot of challenges in this facility. Some are lying on the floor, and the beds which are there, the mattresses are also not in good condition. But that is doing well. You supported them, but the resources are limited, and this one we make you do with. So if the authorities out there can support us and help the director to get us some of these things, I think we will be much grateful to the authorities out there.
Together with residents, the health workers want government to address the issues.
I think if the government will come to our aid, they can let us, they expand the hospital clinic for us, nurses accommodation, and get us a proper electricity so that they can work effectively.
Mahmoud Mohamed Nuruddin, Joy News.
Now, work has finally started on the 5-kilometer stretch of the Ablekuma-Manhia Road at Manhia in the West municipality. The bumpy road, blamed, amongst others, for miscarriages in pregnant women, was the scene of massive protest by residents of Manhia who blocked the road to pressure the authorities to fix it. Joy News' Latif Idris was on the road and reports there may be some relief coming soon for the people of Manhia and adjoining communities.
After years of suffering on the convoluted, bumpy road, Joy News told a story about how the Manhia Road is causing miscarriage among pregnant women. That story was subsequently followed by a violent demonstration by the youth of this community who protested government's inaction on the road. Now, today, it has gotten results. In the background, we can see the earth-moving machine busily working on the road, trying to bring the relief the people have been waiting for all these years.
I'm happy now. I'm happy. We are suffering about past 2 years now. Our road is poor. We don't have proper road here. And today we are seeing the difference. About 1 week ago, we have a demonstration here. Yeah. Because of our road is too bad. But now we are seeing the difference. The contractors are starting working on the road. We are happy.
In the end, what exactly do you, what kind of road are you looking forward to?
Oh, we are expect the asphalt road. Here is the city of the Accra. We are expect the asphalt. Okay. We are part of Ghana. Okay. And if you can get the proper road, asphalt road, we could be happy.
The Municipal Chief Executive of Gan West, Clement Nilamte Wilkinson, tells Joy News the stretch would be given a bituminous facing in the coming months.
I resumed office 2 weeks ago when our people started demonstrating on the road. But if I may say, the municipality have taken about, we are in 30 years now. But in fact, it takes a particular time to do something. And right now, if you see, last week, our people demonstrated on this road that the roads are not good. Therefore, we are trying to do something for them. And as I said, I promised my people that we will surely do something for them. And this is what we have done. As you have seen now, it's more than about 16 kilometers route, which they demonstrated on it. And right now, we have about 2 days to finish the whole project. Yeah.
But what kind of road are we looking forward to? I spoke with some of the residents earlier, and they mentioned that they want an asphalted road. Is this something you are considering?
That one can be done, but not now. As you know, the change of government, the road, there's a lot of issues that is pending on it. So right now, we have to hold on for a while. But we can do this for now. This is going to take about 3 months for them to apply the road, which is, I think, is good for them.
He later joined assembly members of the municipality to inspect the rather poor drainage system which falls within his jurisdiction.
My number one challenge here is my road. That is, you cannot do away with drainage and then go and construct road. No, they move together. It's just like security and lights. They move together, because if you construct the drainage without the road, that meaning you haven't done the problem or you haven't solved the issue.
The construction work is expected to be completed by Friday.
Now, disability is certainly not inability, and this is evident in the story I'm about to tell you. 20-year-old Bernice Ekpe, who will not allow her hunchback to frustrate her dream of becoming a nurse. Though the condition has disrupted her education several times, she has refused to give up. Ms. Ekpe is one of the thousands writing the 2017 BEC, a step she believes takes her a step closer to the realization of her dream. Joy News' Volta Regional Correspondent Fred Kwame Asare caught up with Bernice at the examination center at Adakluwaya and filed the following report.
20-year-old Bernice Ekpe was born a healthy child to a farmer couple in Adakluwaya and had no sign of disability during her infancy. At age 6, a hunch started developing at her back, coupled with severe pains in her spine. Her parents quickly took her to the hospital, but couldn't afford the medical bill for her condition to be fully corrected. Bernice since then pays occasional visits to the hospital for medication whenever she's in pain. Her condition has disrupted her schooling several times, as she's had to stay home for months to nurse her pain.
Something here at my back, it always pains me. So if sometimes I don't feel comfortable if I'm sitting down, I always lie before it or steady my feet. Because of the pains, I'm not going to school again before the exam approach.
But Bernice is determined and wants to become a nurse despite her condition. After passing her mock examination in the Adaklu district, she was registered to take part in the 2017 BEC. She is confident she will get good grades and make her mom proud. Bernice's mother, Victoria, who is a widow, accompanies her to the examination center every day. She says even though she was unable to pay the initial 810 Ghana cedis for tests at the Kolebu Teaching Hospital, she makes sure she seeks medical care whenever she's in pain.
I didn't give birth to her in that condition. The hunch started developing at her back at age 6. She was taken to the Whole Municipal Hospital, but was referred to Trafalgar and later to Focus Clinic, where we were asked to do a test at Kolebu Teaching Hospital. But the amount requested for the test was too huge for me to afford. I only take her to the hospital when she feels pains, but the hunch keeps growing bigger. She does everything in a prostrate position and complains about pains in the side and knee, which have affected her moving around.
Victoria is hopeful it is not too late to correct her daughter's condition.
And authorities at the Suke Primary School in the Lambusie district of the Upper West region have fears for their lives and that of their pupils who study in a dilapidated school block. The school, constructed 63 years ago, has never seen any form of renovation. The school block has developed cracks and gaping holes, and they fear it may collapse on them if immediate steps are not taken to build a new structure. Upper West Region correspondent Rafiq Salam has more.
This is the Suke Primary School, located at the Lambusie district of the Upper West region. It was constructed 63 years ago and has never seen any form of renovation. Watching it from afar, you may have a feeling that all is well, but a closer look at it tells a different story. There are cracks or gaping holes all over the walls. The screeded floor is now partially eroded, exposing the overside concrete. The only thing that one can say seems to be intact in this structure is its roofing. However, its durability is being tested as walls on which the roof is sitting on are on the verge of collapsing. It can simply be described as a death trap, as pupils and their teachers have feared studying under the pre-colonial building. Balebe Basirama Emmanuel is the assemblyman for the Suke electoral area.
Where they are currently occupying was built in 1954, and it has become a death trap, which is very, very dangerous to the children. Some few months ago, there was a disaster of that sort down south. So we don't want to wait till such disaster occur before we look for remedies. So we are calling on government now to come and help us before any unforeseen occurrences.
Another issue of concern is the increasing number of pupils at the school. The pupils are packed like sardines in the dilapidated structure. Chief of Suke, Yeremenu Zimi George Nwawese, who also doubles as a teacher at the school, stated that the large number of pupils in a class makes supervision and class control difficult.
I'm handling class 1. As at now, there are over 80. And how can 80 people be in the class and then effective teaching can be done? There will not be any effective teaching. The people ratio to teacher is not more than 25. Now, if a class is over 80 or 80, how do you manage it? The concentration is not always there. The teaching is not always effectively done.
To add insult to injury, a new classroom block that was constructed a handful of years ago was shoddily done and has also started developing cracks on its walls. Community members on their own have started contributing money to build a new school block for the pupils, while appealing to the government and benevolent organizations to come to their aid.
The youth have contributed some amount and they are waiting patiently. If they can get an NGO or any government assistance, they will be able to help with the labor and the technical know-how. Some of them are even masons. They can help to get them the structures.
Reporting for J News, Rafiq Salam, Suke.
Now, students of Osei Akoto District Assembly Junior High remain without permanent classrooms 3 years after the school gained upper basic status from the primary level. All 3 classes of the school located at Bromso in the Fija Kwabre District, East District, conduct lessons in different locations as a result. Second-year students who occupy a church auditorium face ejection as church leaders say the facility is fast deteriorating from misuse. Nane Aljuma reports.
The students have occupied the church auditorium for close to 3 years, instead of an initial 6 months agreed by both parties. Leaders of St. Peter's Catholic Church say, besides the inconvenience caused by clash of school and church activities, students are destroying the chapel. Construction work on a 5-unit classroom block, which is expected to solve the problem, has stalled for years. About 100 meters from the school sits the church building, whose auditorium houses about 60 students. At the time of my visit, some students were writing a test in the church house. Louver blades have broken and the building is fast losing its shine due to mishandling by students. Hannah Brentio is one of the church leaders who pushed for the school to use the church chapel. She appears to have regretted her stance as she recounts persistent confrontation with students on the issue.
I sometimes find them playing football in the church. They once told me they were playing a league match. The children sometimes play on the altar. They have destroyed our plastic chairs and other items. I have threatened to eject them on several occasions, but I rescind my decisions upon second thought.
Some students confirm they have been reckless in handling the facility, as echoed by one of them, Jacob Osuansa.
They said that we are destroying their things over there.
Isn't that true?
It is true.
That you are destroying the things?
Yeah.
Sometimes we play football.
Yeah, sometimes the guys play football. And then, no, I'm not part. Sometimes even the community come and then ease themselves here. The elders in the church, sometimes they accuse us for many offenses that we even didn't commit. That we've broke some things and then even the flowers, we've destroyed them. So
meanwhile, JHS1 students occupy the only staff common room, leaving teachers to take refuge under trees for their office. Their seniors in third year are accommodated in a classroom meant for kindergarten children who have been pushed to join the nursery colleagues. The solution to this problem is an abandoned 5-unit classroom block with office accommodation for teachers. Love News' sources say attempts to get District Assembly complete the project remain elusive. Newly appointed District Chief Executive Kakari Echamfor says he is awaiting briefing on education in the area for appropriate action. Nana Aljima reporting.
Now, the State Protocol Office has released details about Friday's state burial for the late Major Maxwell Adam Mahama, who was lynched at Dentroboase in the Central Region. According to a statement from the office, a vigil will be held at the Arakan Officers' Mess at Burma Camp on Thursday, June 8 at 7 p.m. And then on Friday, June 9, the body will be moved to the forecourt of the State House at 6 a.m. for filing past. The burial service will commence at 9:10 a.m., after which there will be a procession to the Osu Military Cemetery for interment with full military honors. The final funeral rites will come off at the forecourt of the State House immediately after the burial. Major who was lynched by some residents of a town he had been posted to work is said to have been mistaken for an armed robber when he went for a walk in the town. Over 40 of the people believed to have taken part in his lynching have since been arraigned for their role in his murder. His death is giving life to the campaign against mob justice, which is set to claim the lives of many innocent people across the country every year. Major Mahama, who was promoted posthumously from the rank of captain by President Akufo-Addo, is survived by a wife and 2 children. Government has set up a 500,000 cedis memorial trust fund in his name. Thank you very much for watching. My name is Israelai, and as Aisha indicated, indeed, up next we have a very brand new show with a co-star. Do stay tuned for that.
This is Joy News Prime.